Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Brian, Miss Berlin, and Mr. Betcher for Breaking Down Security.
Hello.
Hello.
And we're also here to talk about Avenger Endgame spoilers. Okay.
Yay! Drop them all right now.
No, I'm just sorry. I'm just kidding. How about Game of Thrones? Can we talk about Game of Thrones? How about that Tyrion?
I've not watched any of them yet.
Oh, my God. What is wrong with you?
I know. I've been busy.
That's okay. Yeah. No, I haven't, you know, we put the kibosh on anything inside of the Slack, and I actually created an Endgame channel for people who want to go in there and, you know, just talk about the movie just in case. I don't know if anybody's using it. But yeah, we're going to permaban anybody who drops into the hallway con and starts dropping, you know, spoilers for that or Game of Thrones. So, you know what? There's just some things you should do, and banning people for doing that, you know. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I can't cane them, so, you know, we'll just go ahead and do that.
I mean, we could.
Oh, that is true. Well, I'd have to fly there and find them and stuff, and it'd just be complicated stuff. So, big things happening here at the world headquarters for BrakeSec. All right, we're going to announce it. So,
all right.
Some of you, I've already got weird sweaty in all the weird places, like I'm 13 years old or something again. So, all right, so we've been teasing the Project Hannibal thing for a while. Some of you who are insiders or been on the Slack know what's up with that, but we're going to do a conference here in the Seattle area, and we have a website. Sorry?
Who's we?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I'm kind of hyperventilating right now. I'm feeling a little odd because I'm announcing this to the world plus dog. So the idea was for about a couple years now, Matt Domko, who you know on Twitter as @#cyber, that's his bit. He was like, "Hey, we should do a conference together," and I'm like, "No, I don't really want to do that. It looks awful. I don't want to do that." And, you know, what happens if it sucks? And, you know, I found myself saying the same things that we did when we did the podcast. Like, what if it sucks? What if nobody likes it? What if nobody shows up? All this stuff. And I mentioned it at our CSEC East meetup, which is a local meetup that I organize and run here the first Wednesday of every month. And everybody seemed to be on board with it. We even have a chief camping officer for our conference here who he likes to camp a lot. So he's going to be helping us with the organization of this. And of course, some of you, you heard camping. And yes, we're going to be camping. It is at a place called the Tolt McDonald Campground in Carnation, Washington, which is about 35 to 40 minutes outside of Seattle. And we're going to be doing this August 23rd, 24th, and 25th. The conference itself, where we're going to have talks and speakers and such, is going to be on the 24th on a Saturday. If you want to come in Friday night and you can camp, meaning like camp with your tent and such, we're going to have a limited number of people who are going to be able to camp. I've actually been planning this since January and actually reserved 9 spots. We have 4 RV spots and 5 actual campsites where you can bring up to 8 people. So there's going to be some more information on the website. We actually bought we didn't know what to name the conference, so I was like, well, let's keep it simple. We're just going to call it Infosec Campout. So infoseccampout.com, all one word. That is where you will find the information. We're also trying to get sponsors for this, and to do so, we set up a nonprofit called the Infosec Education Foundation. That way there's no issue or it's like people should know what it is. The nonprofit is the Infosec Education Foundation. So don't ask me what the foundation does. It's in the name. Just like Ms. Berlin's Hackers Mental Health. I wonder what it's about.
Simple. Nice and simple.
Exactly. Keep it simple. KISS principle. Yeah. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're working on the charity part, but you can give us money and still feel good about yourselves if you'd like. We are working on tiers of support, all the way up to, a lot of money versus, very little. We're going to have a badge for the conference, but if you want to camp either on Friday or Saturday night or both nights, that'll be an additional fee. We're working out the fees for that right now. So yeah, some people are like, oh, you're camping like toorcamp does. Well, kinda. We don't want to be toorcamp, which is why we didn't try to go to Orcas Island, which is, requires a car ferry and logistical efforts and stuff like that. We just kind of want to be camping light. I think the slogan was, if it sucks, you can drive home at that point. So, I don't want to.
Technically, yeah.
Well, yeah, we're only 30 minutes away. So, the couple provide
coming from Ohio.
Right. That is true. That is true. So there's a few provisos. Not sure what our money is right now. So if you're wanting to speak, we are going to have a call for papers, call for workshops, possibly. We're going to do a site visit. So the other person in the organization of the Infosec Education Foundation is Wendy Knox Everett, who everybody knows. She does a lot with B-Sides Las Vegas. She's one of the officers on the nonprofit because she was the logical second choice after Matt said, well, who should we have for the third? And I was like, well, Wendy. Yeah, why not? Because, she's awesome. So she's our third person in that cadre. She's also one of the organizers of the camp out. We also have a chief camping officer. He's going to handle some logistics and, ask questions of stuff that we're not doing or we should be doing. So we're still working up some of the logistics. Yes, it is about 3.5 months away, but we've already got all the site. We've already bought everything with regards to like the camping stuff. So there'll be more information coming. There'll be more information put up on the website. And if you're interested, send me an email at bds.podcast. And, we'll do a CFP proper. But if you're interested in maybe talking, or if you are interested in sponsoring, hit up brian.brake@infoseceducationfoundation.com. So also have the domain for that. So, yeah. There it is. And my hands are all sweaty now, and I'm feeling a little lightheaded.
Now we'll both have nonprofits.
Oh my God, I don't know what we're doing.
Your turn next, Brian.
I don't know what we're doing. So, yeah, next week is the tickets go on sale for the final DerbyCon too. So at least Miss Berlin gets to use her black badge once.
Yay!
She did get that last year. So, are you doing the Health Village there again this year?
Yep.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Okay.
Yep, and we're gonna try and make it very memorable for the last Derby. So
maybe no flip chart this time. Maybe.
Oh, 2 flip charts.
No. Fuck.
Nice.
2 of them to represent. Never mind.
Double down the crazy. Is that what it is? Yeah. Double down the crazy. Anyway, so we weren't on tonight just to talk about the conference or whatever, but we actually have some stuff. I have a story. I actually got to be a real hacker over the last week or so.
What?
I know, right? She's not surprised. We talked about it before the show.
One day, I too will be a real hacker.
Well, I do PM work at Leviathan, but I do a lot of IC work sometimes too, threat models and stuff like that. And, we have this engagement, and, I wanted to poke around in the network a little bit and found some network shares. And one of the things I found interesting about the environment that I was playing in was they had a lot of shares that weren't necessarily mapped in a way that I could see them. So, I used some PowerShell to query various shares on systems, and I found, kind of the holy grail. I found the DR note playbooks. The DR playbooks was very, very interesting. I don't know some of you out there who do regular pen tests like this, but there's a lot of passwords in those things. Or if you're trying to...
There shouldn't be.
Well... See, what happened was there's some SQL logins. So it's like, oh, if the database gets borked, here's how you build it back again. And oh yeah, here's some usernames and hashes. And the hashes started with 0x0100. So it started with that hash. So you can Google whatever that is and find out immediately that it's a SQL Server 2005 box. And they're all SHA-1 hashes, which is not good, but good for me anyway. So one of the things that we were doing before we found that was doing some password spraying, and we didn't want to do that because it's extremely noisy. And our customer was like, "Oh, we want you to be super quiet, and so we can evade detection." And then we said, "Screw it, we're just going to start doing some password spraying," and that's what we're going to talk about today a little bit. So Ms. Berlin says she was actually doing some work on password spraying at her job, and I was like, "Oh, well, that fits very well with our stuff here." So Ms. Berlin, why don't you talk a little bit about what password spraying is?
Oh, you want me to explain?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have a couple of links in the show notes to, vendor / actual content.
I like all of the articles. I think they cover some good stuff, but they start out just, explaining what password spraying is, just using, a lot of the most common passwords that are out there and throwing, common usernames or usernames that like an attacker has enumerated off of a network somewhere, and kind of just having some kind of tool, whether it be, something they've created, or there's a whole bunch of stuff in like Metasploit and all that can just try a bunch of different authentication using files or like like passwords they've gotten off breaches or whatever. But yeah, a lot of them talk about different things you can do to defend against password spraying, like obviously multi-factor auth is a great one.
So password spraying, isn't that where you use common passwords, but you don't try to attack a single account? You attack as many accounts as possible with the same password. Right. So
yeah, because otherwise I think it's just brute force.
Probabilistically, it's the same. Whether so let's say you attack one account with 100 passwords, or you attack 100 accounts with one password, you still get the same probability.
I didn't take.
I don't know. Is that a question? Because I'm not great with.
Okay.
It seems like it might be the case. It's like, well, if you try 100 passwords against one, you may get the one password that one account uses, or if you try one password across 100 accounts, somebody's going to have that password. So Mr. Betcher might be right with the math.
We should ask Megan. She's a math major.
Crap. Well, she's not on right now. She's not on right now, so we just have to guess ourselves. So, but so you were mentioning.
Sounds right.
You were mentioning tools. One of the tools that we actually found that we were using was one written in PowerShell by Daft Hack called Domain Password Spray. Okay. And he mentions on the site, be very careful to not lock out accounts. So one of the obviously trying the one account with 100 passwords would lock that account out, but one per.
You would think.
You'd think, yeah. I mean, usually you have to have a couple of logins before you kill it, but
unless the IT department at the target organization is tired of resetting passwords because people forget that when they reset their password every 90 days. And they forget to reset it on their phone, and their phone keeps trying, and then it locks their account out. So they just disable the lockout mechanism for the account.
Wow. That sounds like somebody who's very bitter and had lived through that, Mr. Betcher.
Yeah, I could see that.
Wow.
Network shares do the same thing.
What
network shares are like just people that schedule tasks.
Yeah.
Do the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he wrote all this in PowerShell, and he said the only option necessary to perform password spray is either -password for a single password or password list to accept multiple sprays. So I assume it goes through all of the accounts and then are all the lists if you use a list, and then it backs up. So you just have to find a good password list or make your own using something like Cool, which if it's still being used, which was a word list generator. Like if you BITA website for a company, and somebody might use a password that's very similar to the company name or to a specific application that the company makes or something like that, or the good old Spring 2019 that everyone tends to use. So
yeah, and there's like definitely more aggressive password spraying that's really super noisy, and then there's the people that try and be quiet with their password spraying. So like I've talked to attackers that will do like from 10 different hosts that they've compromised, they split up the password spraying between those 10 devices, as opposed to doing it all from one, which can be way noisier. Or like throttling the amount over time. So, you only want to try 5 a second as opposed to 500, or thread it, that's with the threads and everything.
Kind of like Nmap, where you can set the speed to make it lower to potentially evade.
Yep.
Okay. So one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about password spraying was because one of my colleagues at work was like, "Oh yeah, we can do password spraying, but it's noisy as all get out." And I was like, "Well, okay, but if the company doesn't have proper monitoring, we could technically almost be noisy as we want, and if they aren't monitoring properly, then it would be missed anyway." So and then when I told Ms. Berlin we should do password spraying, she says, "Oh yes, I work for an MSSP," and I was like, "Oh yes, that would be be a similar organization that the company I'm doing an engagement for, said that, oh yeah, they totally got notifications that the password spraying was happening." I was like, did they really? So anyway, Ms. Berlin, what does password spraying look like when it's being done aggressively on a network?
Depends on what kind of password spraying they're doing. So like if you're just doing like an LDAP query, it's one event type. If you're doing like SMB, it's another.
Really?
Yeah, it's different. But it's still really loud if you have all the right Windows logs turned on.
Okay.
And that's just with Windows, right? There's password spraying for Linux and SQL, and
right.
You kind of have to pay attention to all of that.
Plus, we talked about this before. If you're logging everything, right, and you're just maxing out all your endpoint logs, let's say you get 5 billion events per day. If somebody's password spraying and it goes up to 5.5 billion events per day, you probably don't notice. But if you're logging the right things and you're not logging things like, WordPad logs, then that lessens your the data going into your log management system to maybe 500 million. I don't know, or even less. And then if somebody password sprays, that increase would be much more noticeable.
Mm-hmm. Right. I like the one link that we have in here from Trimark, just because they have like a PowerShell script listed that will look for a bunch of different bad password attempts on Active Directory.
Right.
So you kind of can see like, oh, if there's been a whole bunch in this amount of time, somebody's trying against your, regular user environment. You're not going to have like, 20 to 50 to 5,000 bad attempts in all at the same time.
Okay. Yeah. Sean Metcalf wrote that. I know that guy.
Yeah.
I know that guy.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
and they give out really comfortable shirts too.
If you go to the link with Trimark, there's also a talk that he gave at B-Sides Charm in 2017, detecting the elusive Active Directory threat hunting. Yeah, so he's lived it. He lives it. So, so there's some codes that or some event IDs, right? So 4625, according to this blog post, logged on the domain controller while password spraying. Account failed to log on.
4771, 4648, because one's like a direct connection for LDAP. One's SMB, one's Kerberos.
4771's the Kerberos one. Kerberos pre-authentication failed.
Yeah, okay. And that's a specific type too.
Right. They have specific failure codes. Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing that we've learned writing this security tool is what a pain in the ass it is to look at Windows event XML, because they're all formatted terribly.
So there's event IDs and failure codes. So a 4771 could have a failure code of something other than like 18. It could be something else.
Right.
Well, that sounds very complicated and painful.
Yeah. Especially like if you ever go into Windows event logs, like look at the XML regarding that kind of stuff. It's just whoever wrote it was not consistent across a lot of different things.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like you need a tool to help you parse all that stuff out.
Oh boy.
That would be great.
Here we go. Here it goes.
If I knew of a tool, like, no, I'm joking.
Gee. I don't know. Be a good idea if anyone did that.
All right.
Sounds like there's a partnership in the works here.
All right. So Mr. Betcher, of course, for those of you who are new to the show, is the lead developer and CTO of LogMD, which we didn't think about this when we started doing the show, but I asked him, I was like, can LogMD help with the detection of that? Does it look at error codes as well as the event IDs, or are you guys just looking for event IDs in this case?
Well, those codes are within the event. Right. So yeah.
But what if you had a 4771 with an error code of 20, which may be, you're
well, if that's important, right? We decided if it was important that it would be in the report, right? That LogMD spits out. And it's a parsed report, so you can suck that up into your log management. Right. So LogMD has different reports, like if you're hunting, so you can look at remote access, you can look at WinRM, you can look at privilege escalation, shared accesses, user privilege, user activity. All those different reports out there are split up for you. Okay. And as well as events in the security log, like 4625 and stuff. So nice. Yeah, it grabs all that.
Okay. So before we started doing the show, Ms. Berlin said that she was having some issues with logs being collected. What I'm thinking is that if she doesn't collect everything, she might miss something. But from what she's saying, that there's, the tool that she's trying to use won't collect all the logs in specific server implementation of Windows, right?
Yeah. So I found I'm creating this lab, right? This like attack and defend lab that we're using to create some traffic and stuff.
Right.
And we use NXLog. And so if anybody out there has NXLog running on 2016 or above, you'll want to check and make sure it's actually working. Because the standard implementation will not in Community Edition. It says that it's running, like the service actually runs and it looks like it's working, but it actually errors out and says that there's too many channels. So you do have to modify some stuff to get it to work or pay for it.
How much is it? Is it expensive?
I have no idea because I'm not paying for it. I'm just going to get it to work somehow.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. They
I'll
said,
let you know when it's working.
Okay. Well, they said, it was supposed to be fixed in the Community Edition back in May of 2018, but it didn't get fixed. So.
Correct.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned to see if Amanda figures out what she's doing.
Yep.
You're smart. You'll figure it out.
So
yeah, I was bashing my head on it all day Friday, but yeah, we'll see.
Yep. So
that's okay. It just takes time and effort.
Definitely.
You'll figure it out with time and effort.
Yep. So we did some research. We were looking at various websites that talked about password spray attacks and ways to disrupt them. We found this company called Quadra, and they put out a post back March of 2018. If you read down through all the 4 steps and stop before they talk about their vendory stuff, then this is actually a fairly decent list here. They have step 1, use cloud authentication. So they're saying smart lockout in the cloud. Microsoft uses smart lockout to differentiate between sign-in attempts that look like they're from valid users and sign-ins. Tenants using Active Directory Federated Services, ADFS, can use smart lockout natively in Windows Server 2016. And IP lockout is another one. So if you're not, I think this is more behavioral analytics kind of stuff. So, if all of a sudden, your IP address, or there's an IP address in, I don't know, Mongolia, it's all of a sudden you're trying to log in as me. Normally I don't live in Mongolia. You should be looking to see, well, why is Brian trying to log in from Mongolia, and then block that IP if possible. So
correct.
Yep. And then use multi-factor auth, which is always good. Even if it's only SMS push, it's still better than nothing. And better passwords for everyone. Use banned password lists, banned passwords for on-premises changes, and change how you think about passwords. So, I use phrases. So, like tempest in a teacup. So that's, a phrase or something that I would use.
That's Azure. So I was going to say, like, the whole custom banned password things, it says they're going to allow tenants to customize their banned password lists. So that must be an Azure thing, because you can't do it. You can't do it right now without writing a custom DLL in Active Directory.
Yeah, well, remember this is written in 2018, so this may already be a thing that you can go and look at.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know if Troy Hunt's system works. You could probably make an API call or something like that.
Yeah, you can. I have customers using it somehow.
Good. Oh, very nice.
I don't do the sysadmin thing anymore, so I don't know how they have it implemented. But
right. Okay. Let me see. More awesome features in ADFS. They said block legacy authentication from the extranet. Legacy authentication doesn't have to enforce MFA, so the best approach is to block them from the extranet. Enable ADFS web application proxy lockouts for the extranet, and deploy Azure AD Connect Health. Well, it's a very Azure focused, If you're using AWS or Google, I'm sure they have something similar. But I think 2-factor auth would stop a lot of this. If you were required to push that, you might also want to tighten thresholds. Anything over, say, 5 logins in a second, because if they're banging on something, or if you notice an IP is trying to log in multiple times, you could block it that way too, I would imagine. How would you guys block it there, Ms. Berlin? Do you ever do heuristics like that? It's like, oh, this IP address is all of a sudden, we're noticing you guys are getting multiple logins from the same IP address.
Yeah, we have rules against it, rules detecting it, just like based on geolocation and stuff.
Do they, if you notice that stuff, do customers allow you to take action, or do you have to notify them and then hope they do something?
Depends on what they want to do. We also have something that we're currently building that actually would tie in and do an automatic block. Like they would just tie in from whatever next-gen firewall they have, and it would automatically block it.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't think anything ever come out of our password spraying. I'm not sure we used the right passwords, or we didn't use enough passwords. And we didn't want to lock people out. So, locking out several hundred people with 15 passwords probably would not have been good for us. So.
Oh yeah.
But it
would have been frowned upon.
Frowned upon. Yes, that's the nice way of saying it. They probably would have carpet bombed our building.
I think typically, wouldn't you use a password list from a recent breach?
Yeah.
Right. And people reuse passwords, so it's more likely that some of those passwords might be used in your particular organization, especially if it's a social media breach, right?
Right.
Like a Facebook thing or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if Facebook got hacked or whatever. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I did when I actually found those DR playbook and the hashes and stuff was downloaded RockU, and actually was able to crack a password on my work laptop. So, I was trying to get Hashcat to work outside of my office there, and because I didn't want to just be blasting on the database all day, password spraying it. So. It's just another password spraying seems to be like the last resort for a pen tester. If you can't get hashes, or you can't pass the hash, you can't use Mimikatz or whatever, you're going to spray and pray. They call it, I would assume it's like that. Of course, I'd have to talk to my team and figure out what that is, or if that's actually the case. I could be wrong. So, let me see. Is there anything else we wanted to discuss with password spraying? I think we've probably hit that on the head there. Yeah. No. Yeah, these are some really good notes here. Sean Metcalf, Trimark. It's very good write up on how to do password spraying, or how things work. And there's some additional the slides there and the videos are available from his B-Sides Charm Talk. So, all right, well, Ms. Berlin, we mentioned Hackers Mental Health. Are you going to be doing that anywhere else before DerbyCon this year?
Yeah. So we'll be, see here, what's next? Converge Detroit is in a couple weeks.
Okay.
So we're doing the full one there, but we're not doing talks. We're only doing discussion groups.
Full Monty. Okay.
Yeah. And then I will be running Layer 8 conference at the same time Megan is running B-Sides San Antonio.
Yep.
And those are June 8th.
Wow.
And then I think the next one after that's Derby. And then right after Derby is 44Con. So have to figure that one out somehow, because the last time I looked at flights, they were insane.
Where's 44Con?
London.
Oh. Well, I mean, you could fly out of Detroit, right? Detroit to...
Yeah, so it is a 4 or 5-ish hour drive from my house to Louisville. Mm-hmm. Right? And then it's a whole, how many days do I want to be away from my kids? Because it's on Wednesday after Derby.
Good Lord. So you're going to be traveling directly to the airport and going over.
Yeah. So I would probably fly from Louisville.
Ew. Louisville to Detroit? Yeah. I guess you could do that.
Well, no, maybe Louisville to Detroit to London. I don't know. There's 0 direct flights from Detroit to London, which I'm kind of surprised, because it's a pretty big airport.
No, they have a nonstop.
Well, there's one, but it's $4,000 for economy.
They have Air France, Delta, KLM, Virgin Atlantic.
I want to fly Delta, because that's my preferred airline.
Yeah, I mean, according to Google, it's going to cost you about $1,000 if you left June 16th. I know that's not September, but yeah.
Yeah, it was way different than September. Yeah, because if I could leave on Friday before Derby, it only cost $1,000. But if I leave Tuesday, it's $4,000. So.
Oh God, that hurts. That's
it really hurts.
Yeah.
So if they want to sponsor us, that'll be great. But we're talking to them soon.
Good God, that is expensive. Why is it so expensive? Boy.
I don't know. I can't wait until somebody invents teleportation.
I've heard Iceland Air is really nice. Maybe you should fly Iceland Air.
Yeah, I thought about it.
It's only $1,000.
Yeah, just say hell with the the miles.
Oh, you're a one World Alliance person, I guess. So, okay. Well, that's cool. How would people get a hold of you if they were interested in you coming to their conference?
So best is probably info@mentalhealthhackers.org or our Twitter.
Hold on, slow down. I know a guy
Hackers Health.
who's got a conference coming up that he might want to have.
Well, we have a board member that lives really close to you, and he might be a game. So,
who's that?
Chuck Tallman.
Oh,
Tallman.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I went out to Oregon a couple weeks ago. That's who was visiting.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I don't know how well it'll work outside. We're also planning for the eventuality that it might rain.
I mean, like, that's the whole thing with the mental health village. Like, with camping, you're already pretty relaxed.
Right.
Like, I don't know if, like, I also have always wanted to go to Hawaii, so it would be great to have the mental health village at Shaka Khan. But do they really need it in Hawaii?
You would be surprised how stressful living in paradise is.
Yeah, huh?
Anyway, so Mr. Betcher, you're doing the LogMD thing. Are you going to be anywhere speaking? Anywhere doing anything? Besides San Antonio's coming up, are you going to be at that?
I don't think so. No speaking engagements, but I will attempt to go to DerbyCon.
Okay.
So ticket sales are coming up, so I'll be setting my alarm for that.
Yep.
I would set a Twitter alarm for anything they tweet from now until then.
Yeah.
Watch out for the testing of tickets.
Well, no, they're using Eventbrite, so they probably don't test anymore.
No, maybe not.
Yeah, don't worry about looking, dear listener, for anything. Yes,
I get what you're doing.
They're using Event. I
say that because I don't need to worry about it.
You're as subtle as a tornado. I don't
I've
have
heard
to
that
worry
before.
about it. I have to worry about it. I have a black badge. Anyway. All right. Well, so yeah, if you're interested in finding out about our conference, like I said, infosecampout.com. If you're interested in sponsoring it, send to brian.brake@infoseceducationfoundation.com. You can send us an email there. We're taking money because we're poor, and I'm poor, and I've paid for a lot of this stuff out of my pocket. So, I mean, if it doesn't go off, I'm only down, a couple $1,000, so it's all right.
And you would have had fun at least once.
Well, the funny thing is we're going camping in August, and then whenever Memorial Day or Labor Day is, whichever one's in September, I'm going to be camping like 2 weeks later with the family at the exact same spot. So, we're going to get a lot of work out this year at Toll McDonald Campground. So,
and you, like, for the conference, you have most of it booked, right? That's what you said. Like,
oh yeah, site's already booked. It's been booked since January because
it's a very large amount of that campgrounds that is
right. 9 spots. I have 9 spots. And so roughly if you want to camp, it's going to be about 25 to 30 people who might want to camp because there's some restrictions. It's like 8 people total at a campsite, but only 4 adults. So, you can bring your kids and stuff, and, you may have to mix and mingle a little bit. So we'll try to, keep it all fancy like that. So, anyway, so the podcast, if you want to help out with, oh, by the way, we got somebody who sponsored us on, or sent us some money on Patreon. Let me pull that up. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Person.
Let me see. Let me pull up the BDS podcast one. His name is Ben. So thank you, Ben. He's a $3 patron. Tom also, gave us $1. He's a new patron, or I think he used to be a patron and then stopped and then came back. So,
we're glad you're back too.
Well, we appreciate all of our patrons. So it's important, for that, because we use it for, hosting fees for Libsyn. We'd use it for the Zoom that we're using right now to record. Also time and effort. Podcast and building community through the Slack is not easy, and it is time consuming. So we appreciate.
We wouldn't be able to do anything without ours,
right?
Without our patrons.
Oh yeah, Yep. Very important. Very important. So speaking of the Slack, it's very active. We have a sim club that goes on every Monday nights. A couple of our moderators, Scott Pack and Miss Megan Roddy, do that. It's basically roundtable discussion. People talk about their woes of dealing with their sim system. May or may not have some people from Greylog in there from time to time, depending on the time. But it's good time. So if you're interested in learning how to tune your sim, or you have questions about your logging and stuff, get on in there. You can send us an invite to bds.podcast@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Twitter at BrakeSec for more information. The CTF Club, we actually found somebody who is going to run it for us. One of our slackers, Pinkie Pie.
Yay!
He's going to be running it Saturday afternoons at like 2 to 3 o'clock Eastern time. So that's, what is it? 1400 minus 11 o'clock Pacific time, and like I think it's plus 4 or 5 or minus 4 or 5 UTC, so it'd be roughly 6, 7 o'clock in the evenings UTC time. Don't quote me on that. And you guys are over there in England are far smarter than I am, so you'll know what time that is Eastern time. But yeah, what he's planning on doing is running through some of the hack the box stuff. And I had suggested maybe we turn the CTF Club into like where you can create teams for upcoming CTF events that are online. So, BrakeSec would have a team of 4 or 5 people to go and do those. I don't know if he's planning on doing that, but if you're wanting to understand the process of how to hack systems, like you see on the videos with IPP, that'll be a way that you can get to collaborate with people. It's all levels of knowledge, from people who don't know how to spell Nmap to, people who name their first kid Ida, that kind of stuff. So, where everyone's welcome to join and to get involved. That's the important thing. So,
yeah. And if you're looking to break into the security field, well, first of all, this is a great place to start listening to this podcast, but also joining the Slack channel will be a tremendous asset to you.
Right. Yep. We got a hell of a job board. A lot of people are posting things, some remote jobs, some not. And we also have a book club. David Sybuck runs that. And also JB runs our European book club, which happens Saturday mornings. So if you're interested in a lot of stuff going on in our Slack, I don't know if other Slacks do this kind of stuff, but it just seems like, we got a lot of good people doing a lot of great things for us. So we appreciate them. So, let me see. TPub store. If you want to get a T-shirt or Miss Berlin's face on your shirt, you can do that. Mention the Patreon. Spectre Ops and Tim Tomes are still doing their training at Workshop Con. I don't know if there's still any spots available, but you can go to workshopcon.com and get more information. And I believe B-Side Springfield, Missouri, where I spoke last year, is doing call for papers right now. So if you're interested in doing that, and I think B-Sides Las Vegas is still looking for workshops. So Ms. Wendy told me they were still looking for that, and Falcon, who works with us at Leviathan, mentioned it as well. So if you're doing a workshop, and I from what I understood at Derby, they said that 79 people submitted a workshop and they could only take 14. So if you're one of those people, I know, right? So yeah. If you're one of those people that didn't get their workshop accepted, go talk to Ms. Wendy or some of the organizers of B-Sides Las Vegas and submit your workshop. So I don't know when that goes.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I do have fun and exciting news.
What's that?
I will be speaking at both Black Hat and DEF CON.
Kick ass.
Wow. Congrats.
And I didn't apply to either.
Wait, how does that work?
I'll be speaking at the Blue Team Village on a panel.
Oh, okay. All right.
And Black Hat asked me to speak in their community track about mental health.
Nice. That's very nice. Okay.
So I'm super excited.
What's the community track? I've not heard this before.
Community related stuff happening in
Is this a new track?
I guess they had it last year too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't go to either one of those, so I didn't know. So, okay. All right. So, please tell your friends if you enjoy our podcast. If you can't give us money on Patreon, word of mouth advertising is worth gold as well. So, we're always looking for new listeners, always looking for people to help educate. If, you got developers that, don't know what the hell password spray is, or, they're interested in incident response, we've got a bunch of good podcasts out there. So I think next week we've got one on Kubernetes security. So that may be just me doing the interview. I don't know. We'll see if Ms. Berlin or Mr. Betcher joins us on Tuesday for that. So otherwise, I think that was it for Breaking Down Security. Have a great week. Be nice to one another. Take care of yourselves, because you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.